Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most recognizable and cherished coins in American numismatics, the 1974 United States Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, it might seem like a simple penny, just another copper-colored circle people rarely stop to admire. But the truth is far more fascinating. The 1974 penny holds a special place in the hearts of coin collectors for several reasons: its composition, its place in American economic history, the mystique surrounding rare variants, and the quiet but undeniable charm of the Lincoln cent series overall. And in today's video, we are unpacking its story, exploring its value, its worth, and exactly why a coin minted in the millions can still capture imagination decades later. So settle in. Today's deep dive isn't just about money, it's about meaning, the backstory, the Lincoln cent tradition. To understand why the 1974 penny matters, we first need to step back in time. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, the coin marked a turning point. It was the first circulating U.S. coin to feature the image of a real historical person. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent evolved, but its core symbolism remained the same: an emblem of American ideals, a tiny tribute to perseverance and unity. But by 1974, the United States was facing an era of economic uncertainty, and even the most familiar objects, like a humble penny, weren't spared from the changes sweeping across the nation. Setting the stage, America in 1974. The early 1970s were a turbulent time. Inflation was climbing. The cost of raw materials was spiking. Copper, in particular, had become expensive enough that the U.S. Mint started questioning whether producing pennies in their traditional composition made financial sense. This period saw experimentation behind the scenes, alternative metal compositions, production tests, and a few highly restricted trials that still spark curiosity today. While the majority of 1974 pennies were made of a copper alloy similar to earlier years, there were secret experiments with aluminum cents, not released to the public, creating rumors and myths that persist even now. All of this economic tension gives the 1974 Lincoln cent a special historical aura. It was minted on the brink of a transformation, standing at the crossroads between tradition and change. Mint marks, why they matter for new collectors. A mint mark might seem minor, just a tiny letter stamped below the date. But for seasoned numismatists, mint marks tell a story of location, production quality, and scarcity. In 1974, the Lincoln cent was produced at several mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. The Philadelphia and Denver examples were produced in massive numbers. But the San Francisco mint was different. By this point, San Francisco primarily created proof coins rather than circulating currency. Proof coins are struck with extra care, sharper details, mirrored fields, and a level of craftsmanship meant for collectors rather than pockets. Because of this, a 1974 S-proof penny carries an added layer of refinement, making it especially prized when found in pristine condition. Composition and the coming change. In 1974, the penny was still struck in the traditional bronze alloy, roughly 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. This gives the 1974 penny its warm reddish-brown tone and durability, but this composition was on borrowed time. Just 8 years later, in 1982, the mint officially switched to copper-plated zinc due to rising material costs. This makes pre-1982 pennies, like the 1974 issue, particularly attractive to collectors who prefer the authenticity and heft of the original copper design. It's not just nostalgia. A copper penny feels different. It sounds different. It ages differently, developing a personality through oxidation and subtle color changes over time. What makes a coin valuable? Value in coin collecting is a dance between rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. So how does a common year penny like the 1974 Lincoln cent hold collectible value? There are several key factors. Condition: a mint state, untouched coin can be leagues more valuable than a worn one. Collectors prize sharp detail, lustrous surfaces, and the absence of scratches, dents, or discoloration. Strike quality: proof coins from San Francisco are especially sought after because of their precision and mirror-like finish. Mint errors: the 1970s were known for some striking mint errors, off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets. A dramatic error from 1974 can catapult the value of an ordinary penny into the hundreds or even thousands. Market interest. Some collector communities are deeply passionate about completing full Lincoln cent date and mint mark sets, increasing demand for well-preserved examples of every year, including 1974. A day in the life of a collector. Imagine a coin collector at a weekend flea market, fingers gliding over piles of old coins. He's not just looking for money, he's searching for a spark of history. Maybe he spots a 1974 S-proof penny, gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Maybe he finds a 1974 D with a rare die error. Each discovery feels like unearthing a tiny artifact, a treasure hidden in plain sight. It's this thrill, the mixture of knowledge, patience, and luck, that makes coin collecting one of the most enduring hobbies in America. Why the 1974 Lincoln cent still captivates audiences today. Even though billions were minted, the 1974 penny remains a conversation starter. Enthusiasts enjoy it for its classic portrait of Lincoln, its historical context, and the rare varieties that keep the hunt alive. It represents a time before major technological shifts in minting, before composition changes, before the rise of digital transactions turned coins into occasional curiosities. Holding a 1974 penny is like holding a small piece of American memory. It may not be rare in quantity, but it is rich in story. Deep Dive, where we journey through one of the most overlooked yet astonishingly fascinating treasures in American coin collecting, the 1981 D. Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin. This is not just a penny you pass by in the checkout line. This is a coin with a story, a legacy, and, for some rare specimens, a surprisingly impressive price tag that collectors are eagerly seeking. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a long, immersive adventure into the world of numismatics as we unfold the hidden worth of this iconic piece of U.S. history. Setting the stage. Every coin has a past, a purpose, and an unexpected charm. And the 1981 D. Lincoln cent is no exception. At first glance, it may seem like any regular penny minted during the early 1980s, bearing the timeless profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the striking pillars of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But as you're about to discover, the real magic lies in the details most people overlook every single day. Before we explore its value, variations, errors, and desirability, let's take a moment to step back in time to understand why this particular coin stands out in coin collecting conversations. A historical snapshot of 1981. The year 1981 marked the final full year that the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents with the traditional copper-based alloy. It was a transitional moment in American minting history. Although the shift to zinc-based cents would officially roll out in 1982, the foreshadowing of this change added an unexpected layer of significance to coins minted in 1981. The Denver Mint, represented by the D mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of these pennies. Yet only a fraction of them would remain in high-grade condition, untouched by circulation, and even fewer would display the brilliant surfaces, crisp strikes, and preservation necessary to earn premium status with collectors. That's where the thrilling world of coin grading enters the conversation. Why condition matters when it comes to coin collecting. Condition is everything. You could hold a coin that looks incredibly ordinary, but if it exhibits the right combination of brilliance, sharpness, and preservation, it could be worth far more than face value. For the 1981 D penny, collectors pay special attention to sharpness of Lincoln's hair and beard details, clarity of lettering and rim edges, any small imperfections, marks, or toning patterns. The deep, reflective quality found only on specially preserved coins that achieve high ratings, such as those graded MS 65, MS 67, or even higher, are the ones that draw the eyes of serious collectors. These high-grade survivors are rare precisely because pennies are used so heavily in everyday transactions. Most wear down fast, get scratched, or fall victim to environmental damage, but that tiny percentage that remains pristine? Those are the treasures, the allure of the 1981 D mint mark. Now, why does the Denver minted version attract so much attention? It comes down to production quality, die states, and subtle minting variations. Even though the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of coins, not all strikes are created equal. Some had sharper imprints, some suffered die wear, and others were minted under near-perfect conditions. Collectors love comparing Denver specimens with those minted in Philadelphia and San Francisco because subtle differences can translate into serious value. But the best part? Sometimes, the true worth of a coin isn't determined by rarity alone, it's determined by desirability. And the 1981 D. Lincoln penny has quietly become a desirable coin among collectors seeking high-grade copper cents from the pre-zinc era. Unexpected variations and error coins. One of the most exciting areas in coin collecting is error coins. These unexpected minting mishaps add unpredictability and uniqueness that many collectors find irresistible. Although the 1981 D penny doesn't boast as many famous errors as other years, there are still intriguing varieties you might come across. While not every error will bring in high value, some unique examples can command impressive prices on the collector market. Especially when combined with excellent condition, these features transform a common penny into a bold, eye-catching collectible. Understanding market demand. The coin market is constantly shifting. Trends rise and fall depending on interest, discoveries, auctions, and generational shifts. Younger collectors sometimes gravitate toward modern errors, while seasoned experts may chase after high-grade memorial cents. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in coins from the late 1970s and early 1980s, especially those representing the last era of full copper composition. The 1981 D. Lincoln cent fits perfectly into that niche, making it a smart coin to watch, collect, and hold onto. The thrill comes from knowing that what many people consider pocket change might secretly be a rising star in the world of numismatics. What makes a 1981 D penny valuable? Let's walk through the key factors. Condition. As mentioned earlier, condition is the leader of value. The closer your coin is to mint state perfection, the more likely it is to command attention. Red coloration. Collectors classify copper coins into three main color designations: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and red, RD. True red coins, those that retain nearly all their original mint luster, are far rarer. And rarity equals value. Error features. If your 1981 D penny includes interesting mistakes from the minting process, it could earn curiosity and higher bids from collectors. Grading. Certification. Professional grading adds legitimacy and certainty to a coin's condition, which often results in higher auction prices. Market timing. Like collectibles, value can fluctuate. Certain years see spikes in demand, especially when numismatic media highlight sales of rare specimens. Bringing it all together, by now, you can see why the 1981 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent is far more than just a 1-cent piece of currency. It is a reflection of American minting history, a treasured collectible for copper coin enthusiasts, and a growing favorite in the coin collecting community. We're exploring the surprisingly compelling story of the 1987 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny, a coin that most people think is worth just 1 cent, but in certain conditions, it can be worth far more, and by the end of this video, we'll reveal the exact value you requested, expressed fully in words. So stay with me, because the humble penny you've ignored your whole life is about to become a lot more interesting. Scene 2, setting the stage. Let's jump back to the late 1980s. The United States was experiencing a massive shift, economic growth, new technology, and a nation moving rapidly into a new era. Amid all this change, the U.S. Mint kept producing the iconic Lincoln cent, a design that had already been in circulation for nearly 8 decades. By 1987, the penny had already undergone dramatic transformation. It was no longer made of the heavy copper that earlier generations knew. Starting in 1982, the mint switched the core metal to zinc, coating each coin in a thin copper layer. To the eye, the penny looked unchanged, but inside, it was different, lighter, less dense, and much cheaper to produce, and in 1987, the Denver Mint created more than 4.5 billion of these Lincoln Memorial cents. With a number so massive, you might assume every 1987 D penny is practically worthless. After all, when billions of something exist, how could a single one matter? But numismatics, the study of coins, has a fascinating way of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, because what collectors want is perfection. Scene 3, why condition matters. Nearly every 1987 D penny that left the Denver Mint entered circulation. That means it jingled in pockets, slid across counters, was dropped on sidewalks, battered in change jars, scraped inside vending machines, and probably spent years forgotten under car seats or inside couch cushions. Every one of those tiny scratches and marks lowers a coin's grade, and therefore, its value, but a tiny fraction of 1987 D pennies never entered circulation at all. These are the coins that matter. The ones that went straight from the minting press into sealed bags, later stored untouched for years. These coins sometimes survive in what collectors call high mint state condition, bright luster, razor-sharp details, and no signs of wear, and those rare survivors, they can be worth much more than 1 cent. Scene 4, the art of grading. Grading is like determining the visual age of a coin. Even though every 1987 D penny is the same age in years, they are not the same in condition. Collectors and grading companies use a numbered scale, typically from 1 to 70. A grade of 1 means barely identifiable. A grade of 60 or higher means mint state, uncirculated. A grade of 70 is theoretically perfect, almost impossible to achieve. Now here's where things get interesting. Most 1987 D Lincoln cents, even if they look pretty nice at first glance, will fall somewhere between MS60 and MS64. They might have tiny imperfections from minting or the slightest touch marks from handling. These coins may have a little value above face value, but nothing extraordinary. But the highest grades, MS67, MS68, are incredibly rare. And rarity is what makes collectors reach deep into their wallets. That's why some 1987 D pennies, when submitted to a major grading service like PCGS or NGC, come back with a stunning grade that skyrockets their collectible value. Scene 5, the special traits collectors love. Beyond grade, collectors also hunt for errors and varieties. Errors occur during production and make a coin unique. Some of these errors can add significant value. Common examples include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets struck through errors, misaligned dies. Though major errors for the 1987 D penny are not extremely common, when they appear, they grab attention and generate strong auction interest. Even slight variations, like extremely strong mint luster or sharply defined features on Lincoln's portrait, can push a coin out of the ordinary and into the wow category. Scene 6, the story hidden in the metal. Think about what a penny actually represents. It's small, light, nearly forgotten, yet it travels everywhere. Every penny carries a silent history. It might have been in a cashier's drawer the day a child bought their very first candy. It might have been inside the pocket of someone attending a historic event. It may have spent decades rolling through the economy before you found it. But among all of these everyday stories, some coins have a destiny far beyond spending power. Some become collectibles. Some become historical artifacts. Some become treasure, and the 1987 D penny, despite being born in the billions, has carved out its own place in the world of treasures. Scene 7. Why the 1987 D penny is still popular. Collectors often overlook the late 1980s Lincoln cents, but the 1987 D stands out because it's old enough to have nostalgia appeal. It's modern enough that high-grade survivors exist. Zinc cents are prone to corrosion and spots, meaning pristine examples are far rarer than people assume. It represents the early years of the modern penny, a turning point in U.S. coin production. In other words, the 1987 D penny sits in a perfect sweet spot for collectors, familiar yet increasingly scarce in top-tier condition. Scene 8. The value factor. So what is the value of a highly graded, extremely well-preserved 1987 D Lincoln penny? Well, it varies depending on condition, eye appeal, grading, service, rarity, market demand, whether the coin exhibits any special errors or unique qualities. But the real excitement comes from those exceptional coins, the ones that shine so perfectly under inspection that they stand apart from millions of others. These coins can and do reach impressive prices when sold to serious collectors. Scene 9. The emotional element of collecting. Coins aren't just metal. They are stories you can hold in your hand. Every collector understands the thrill of discovery, the heartbeat that rises when you open a roll of coins and find something unexpectedly perfect, the moment of excitement when a magnifying glass reveals a sharp strike or flawless surface, the sense of history you feel when a coin connects you to the past in a way nothing else can. Even a simple 1987 D penny can create that moment, especially when its condition elevates it from something forgotten to something valued. We're diving deep into one of the most overlooked but surprisingly intriguing coins in American numismatics, the 2003 D Lincoln Memorial Cent. This tiny copper-plated zinc penny, minted in Denver, might look like pocket change to most people, but as we're about to explore, it carries a backstory, hidden varieties, and a collector appeal that make it far more than spare change. Whether you're a beginner coin collector, a casual hobbyist, or simply someone who enjoys discovering hidden value in everyday objects, this video script will walk you through everything you need to know about the 2003 D penny, its history, design, minting quirks, collector demand, grading insights, and the surprising levels of value it can reach under the right circumstances. So settle in, because you're about to experience the full story behind one of America's most widely produced but strangely captivating coins, the historical backdrop, why the 2003 Lincoln cent matters. By 2003, the Lincoln Memorial Cent had already been circulating for more than 4 decades. The design, introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, replaced the iconic wheat cent. The Lincoln Memorial reverse would eventually run until 2008, making the 2003 D penny part of the final chapter before the series switched to the Lincoln bicentennial designs in 2009. The year 2003 itself doesn't mark a major historical turning point in American numismatics, but what it does represent is the era when collectors began paying more attention to modern coins, especially mint state examples. There was a growing awareness that everyday coins struck during the late 20th and early 21st century were not being saved in high-grade condition. Most ended up in pockets, cash registers, parking meters, and change jars. The result? While billions were minted, surprisingly few survived untouched and flawless. This shift in collector interest is part of what elevates even a modern penny like the 2003 D to collectible status. And when we examine what makes the Denver Mint strike unique, things get even more interesting. Minting at Denver. What the D Mint mark represents. The Denver Mint has long been known for high-capacity coin production. In 2003, it struck well over 3 billion Lincoln cents, an astonishing number. Yet high mintage does not always equal low value. In fact, mass production often means that small errors, die deterioration, and variations from die to die can create collectible anomalies. The D Mint mark itself is found just below the date on the obverse side, and this tiny letter instantly identifies the coin's origin. Many collectors track Denver and Philadelphia Mint coins separately because quality control, strike sharpness, and die life can vary between the two mints. Denver coins of this era are sometimes associated with slightly stronger strikes compared to Philadelphia issues, resulting in sharper design details under magnification, particularly in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat folds. But at the same time, the sheer number of coins struck also means that dies wore out quickly, giving rise to small imperfections that collectors carefully hunt down today, exploring the design. From Lincoln's portrait to the iconic memorial, the obverse of the penny features Victor David Brenner's timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced in 1909. Even after nearly a century of use, the design still carried elegance and detail in 2003. Collectors examine areas such as the ear, cheek, jawline, and hair waves for signs of strong strikes or weakness. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, features the Lincoln Memorial with tiny but fully sculpted columns. One of the most charming trivia pieces about this design is that, under magnification, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, just as in the real monument. A high-grade 2003 D penny should display crisp memorial lines, clearly defined steps, and clean fields free of scratches. But because pennies circulate heavily, most examples today show dulling, wear, nicks, and oxidation. This is why uncirculated and mint state examples command collector attention, collector demand, why the 2003 D penny still draws interest at first glance. The 2003 D is not a rare coin. But numismatics is not only about rarity, it's also about condition, varieties, minting anomalies, and preserved examples of everyday coins. Collectors seek this coin for several reasons. High-grade population is lower than expected, though billions exist, most were used as everyday currency. Perfect or nearly perfect examples are surprisingly scarce. The end of an era, being close to the final years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, adds historical significance. Varieties and errors. Even modern coins have die chips, doubling, plating bubbles, struck through grease errors, and other oddities. Affordability. Many collectors appreciate modern coins because they offer a fun challenge without requiring thousands of dollars. The combination of these factors keeps the 2003 D penny in constant rotation among collectors, especially those working on full Lincoln cent albums. Errors and varieties, where the true value hides. One of the most compelling reasons people collect even modern pennies is the thrill of discovering error coins. While the 2003 D does not have a famously documented major error like the 1992 close AM or the 1955 double die, it still offers a variety of smaller, lesser-known errors that can significantly enhance value. Some collectibles found among 2003 D pennies include die chips. These appear as raised blobs of metal, commonly on Lincoln's tie, nose, or the letters of the word liberty. Plating bubbles. Because modern cents are zinc cores coated in copper, imperfect bonding can cause tiny bubbles, some of which create unique patterns. Die cracks. Small raised lines across the surface can form from die fatigue. Misaligned dies. Slight off-center obverse or reverse images. Struck through errors, when debris is trapped between the die and planchet, leaving behind odd impressions. Each type of error varies in value depending on appearance, size, and visibility. A dramatic struck-through error or large die crack can turn a common penny into a sought-after collectible. The importance of grading. How condition transforms value. To understand why some 2003 D pennies sell for premium prices, you must understand grading. Coin grading ranges from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70. The higher the grade, the closer the coin is to flawless. Most 2003 D pennies in circulation grade somewhere between. Today, we're diving into a story you may not expect, a story about a single year in American coinage that has sparked conversation among hobbyists, collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who simply love finding something special in their pocket change. The year is 2016, the coin is the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny, and the reason you're watching is simple. This tiny piece of metal, struck by the billions, has become surprisingly interesting. You might think the Lincoln penny has nothing new left to reveal. After all, it's been around since 1909. Its design is familiar, its value printed plainly on the face, and it's one of the lightest, most humble coins in America's pockets. But like all coins, each year carries its own story, its own quirks, and its own secrets hidden quietly beneath the surface. Some years go unnoticed, while others, like 2016, have found themselves impressively highlighted in online markets, collecting communities, and coin forums for a handful of remarkable reasons. So today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about the 2016 mint mark Lincoln penny. How many were made, why collectors talk about them, what makes certain varieties more valuable, what errors to look for, and why a few specific examples have climbed far beyond their humble 1 cent. Denomination. Whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious beginner, or someone simply hoping to discover whether the pennies jingling in your car cup holder are worth more than spare change, you're in the right place. Our journey begins, as always, at the United States Mint, or rather, at the 3 mints responsible for striking circulating coins in 2016. These facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each have their own history and their own mint marks, and they produced a combined enormous number of pennies during that year. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins with no mint mark, the Denver Mint used the letter D, and the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins marked with an elegant S. All 3 types exist for the 2016 Lincoln cent, but not all are created equally in the eyes of collectors. Let's start with the Philadelphia strike. These make up the largest group of 2016 pennies, dominating circulation with impressive volume. The vast majority are ordinary, and you have probably handled dozens without even noticing. The surface is copper-plated zinc, the weight is just over 2.5 grams, and the design is the classical one featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the modern shield reverse introduced in 2010. But among the sea of normal coins, a few stand out, especially in extraordinary mint condition. Uncirculated examples that escaped scratches, dents, pocket wear, and the everyday chaos of coin circulation can earn attention from collectors. While most are common, truly flawless examples are surprisingly difficult to find, especially when graded by the strict standards of professional coin services. Then there's the Denver strike, marked by a crisp D beneath the date. Denver pennies tend to be better known for sharp strikes and strong luster. Collectors often pay close attention to Denver minted coins from any year, examining them for crisp edge definition, clean fields, and overall quality. The 2016 D Lincoln penny is no exception. A brilliant uncirculated Denver penny with a sharp finish can be an eye-catching piece that collectors hold onto, especially when it exhibits minimal contact marks. Though common in quantity, standout examples in high grades continue to appear in online auctions and collector marketplaces. Finally, we have the San Francisco proof strike, a different creature entirely. Proof coins aren't meant for circulation. They're made with a special process where blanks are polished to a mirror-like sheen, dies are treated for maximum detail, and each coin is struck multiple times to bring out a stunning, deeply reflective finish. The 2016 S penny floats elegantly between collectors' fingers, its smooth surfaces reflecting light with a sharp clarity that no circulating coin can match. These coins were packaged in annual proof sets, kept safe by collectors, and admired for their gem-quality detail. While their collector base is loyal, their values usually rise only when the coin remains in absolutely pristine condition. But beyond mint marks, beyond the typical grades, lies the most exciting part of modern coin collecting, the hunt for unusual varieties and legitimate mint errors. And yes, the 2016 penny has them. For instance, some 2016 pennies display double die characteristics, raised, shadow-like doubling on the lettering or date, visible under magnification. This is not the dramatic doubling seen on iconic coins from earlier decades, but subtle varieties nonetheless catch the attention of variety collectors. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin is stamped partly outside the center of the blank, leaving crescents of unstruck space. There are die cracks, small raised lines caused by damaged minting equipment. And in some rare cases, there are broad strikes, clipped planchets, and the occasional dramatic misalignment. Each of these unique errors elevates the value of a tiny penny, making it more appealing to coin enthusiasts who cherish the unpredictability of the minting process. Yet, perhaps the most surprising truth revealed by collectors is this: sometimes, even a modern penny minted in the tens of millions can skyrocket in value if it remains in immaculate, mint-fresh condition. Certified grading is one of the biggest reasons for such price jumps. When a grading service labels a coin as MS 67 or higher, indicating nearly perfect surfaces, the price can climb dramatically. And for the 2016 penny, we've seen exactly that. Some exceptional examples have sold online for impressive 4-figure prices, simply because their condition reached near perfection. But outside of error coins, proof strikes, and extremely high grades. There is another reason the 2016 penny has attracted widespread attention. It marks a period in American coin collecting where more casual collectors began looking more seriously at modern circulation coins. Social media, YouTube videos, and online coin valuation communities brought fresh excitement to modern pennies. Suddenly, everyday money wasn't just money anymore, it was a miniature treasure hunt, a chance to find something special in your pocket. This surge in interest pushed certain coins from obscurity into visibility, including the often overlooked 2016 Lincoln penny. The value of a coin is more than the metal it contains. It comes from rarity, condition, historical interest, collector demand, and sometimes stories that capture the imagination. A penny might be small, but its place in American culture is enormous. From childhood piggy banks to the symbolic image of Lincoln himself, the penny carries meaning far beyond its monetary value. The 2016 Lincoln penny continues that story, embodying both tradition and the modern evolution of collecting, and that brings us to today's central question: what is the actual worth of a 2016 mint-mark Lincoln penny? For most examples, the answer remains the obvious one: 1 cent. But for a lucky few gems, pristine coins in high grades or unique era varieties, those values can soar.